Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you are well and ready to learn 5 more phrasal verbs. Now, I just heard my phone beep, so I'm going to turn that onto silent. And I also want to start off by saying a huge thank you and shout out to all those of you who do continuously come back and watch more of my lessons. Now, I know you come from all over the world, but in the last few weeks, the top 5 countries that watch my videos has started to shift. So I'm going to give a big shout out to my latest top 5. In 5th place, the 5th most, how do I put this? The fifth of all the countries that watch me, the most of you come from Italy is in 5th place. Poland is in 4th place, India is in 3rd place, the United States is in 2nd place, and in 1st place, can you guess? It's the UK. So in those top 5 countries are UK, United States, India, Poland, Italy. So if you are in one of those countries, I want to give a big shout out to you. What I'd like you to do is tell me which city in that country you're actually in. It would be really interesting to know. And if I didn't shout out your country, then let me know in the comments which country you are in. It's always so interesting to see how the analytics change. So fantastic. I've got you all here joining in and ready to go. So like I said, 5 phrasal verbs today. These are commonly used phrasal verbs. And this is going to be an interactive writing correction lesson. So as I give you the phrasal verbs, please write a sentence using the phrasal verb so that you get the practice. And if I get the chance, I will respond by correcting or by just telling you it's right. Okay, so I've got people in Italy, India, Russia, Venice, Morocco, Argentina, Spain, Bangladesh, wow, Hungary, lots of you from all over. So keep those comments coming. I will scroll back later and have a look where you're all watching from. But let's start with our first phrasal verb. So the first phrasal verb is blow over. To blow over. Now, to blow over is when a scandal fades away with little consequence. So a scandal is news, something bad or out of the ordinary that's happened. It's usually quite negative. And if it fades away with little consequence, then we can say it has blown over. Or you might reassure someone and say, don't worry, it will blow over. And this is the example sentence I have given. I wouldn't worry about what the papers are saying. I'm sure it will all blow over by tomorrow. Here, papers refers to newspapers. So let's just imagine for a moment that I am Donald Trump. And let's imagine that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, says something really inappropriate. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine Donald Trump saying something inappropriate? So he said something inappropriate and the newspapers go crazy. He's all over the news. They're saying, uh-oh, the President of the United States has said something inappropriate. It is a scandal. Someone then might say to him, don't worry, Mr. Trump. Don't worry, Mr. President. The scandal will probably blow over in a few days. It means everyone will forget about it and nothing bad will happen. You won't be punished. You won't lose your presidency. You will remain exactly as you are. Nothing bad will happen. It will blow over. So, hopefully that makes sense to you. I would like you to write a sentence now using the phrasal verb blow over. Okay. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to say a quick hello to my patrons. Hi, guys. You might be reading the message that I've got scrolling along the screen, just to say a huge thank you to you guys who stuck with me again for the month of April. Without your help this month, I really couldn't have paid my rent. So I really, really appreciate you guys sticking by me and supporting me through these difficult times. So blow over. Who is giving me some example sentences? I've got one here from Gossia, says, don't worry about the gossip, soon it blows over. Not a bad attempt. I would change it to soon it will blow over. Don't worry about the gossip, soon it will blow over. Okay. Any more coming through? No, I can't see any at the moment, so I'm going to move on to the next phrasal verb, but do write your sentence down and I'll come back to it. So the next one, oh, I have just seen one actually. Thank God that remark has blown over quickly. Thank God that remark has blown over quickly, says Eva. I wouldn't make it as specific as saying a remark has blown over. What blows over is the hot air, the reaction, people's reaction to it. That's what blows over. It's the scandal that surrounds a comment, not the actual comment. So generally when we're using blow over, we talk about it or all. It will all blow over. Everything will blow over. So we generally talk in a very general way rather than saying something specific. So the comment won't blow over. Everyone's reaction to the comment will blow over. Okay, so you'd say, thank God. You could just say very generally, thank God that blew over very quickly, or thank God that's all blown over now. Thank God that's all blown over now. In reference to the bad reaction to the comment that was made. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Hello, Ray. Ray is in here under the name of Stunning Lad 1. I will approach my manager when this recent scandal blows over. Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for your contribution. Okay, so let's move on to the next phrasal verb. Now, the next phrasal verb, there are a number of uses for this particular phrasal verb. I think there are even more uses than the ones I've given, but the ones I've given are the ones that are commonly used. There are a few others, but they're rarely used, so I haven't included them. But let's take a look now. So we have blow up. To blow up. I'm sure you've heard of at least one of these uses, but to blow up could mean to explode. To explode, like a bomb, or like my oven exploded the other day. So I could say my oven blew up the other day. So we can talk about all sorts of devices blowing up. If you're not careful, your phone could blow up if it gets too hot. The food in the microwave could blow up if you leave it in there for too long and it makes a terrible mess. And the example sentence I've given is, the package that he was holding literally blew up without warning. Obviously, I've written it in the past tense here. It literally blew up without warning. I wonder what was in the package. Okay, so the next use of this phrasal verb blow up is to inflate. So we often talk about blowing up our balloons or blowing up tyres on our car or our bike perhaps. But you will blow them up, you inflate them. The example I've given is, blowing balloons up always makes me feel dizzy. Blowing balloons up always makes me feel dizzy. Now you'll notice I put the object in the middle, but you could quite easily put it afterwards. Blowing up balloons always makes me feel dizzy. It works both ways. Okay? So, the final use of the phrasal verb blow up is to lose your temper or to get angry, to anger. So, I should just write two there, shouldn't I? To anger. So, the example sentence I've given is, honestly, I did nothing wrong. He just blew up at me for no reason. He just blew up at me for no reason. Now, I'm sure we've all been in that position where someone has shouted at us, got really angry with us for no reason. And it's usually because actually they've been having a bad time. Maybe they've just had some bad news and they feel angry inside. And we are just the first people that they see, and then they blow up at us. So if you blow up at someone, it means that you lose your temper with them, you get angry with them. Okay? Hello, Nuria. She's in her kitchen while listening, cleaning the kitchen while listening. Fantastic. You've got us on in the background. So let's have a look at some of your examples. Aaron says, I blow up your mind. No, that's not quite right. So I think you're using it in the sense to say inflate. I will blow up your mind. We don't ever use it in that context. When we use blow up to mean inflate, we will only really use it when we're talking about balloons or tires. I can't think of any other examples. I'm sure there are a few, but only use it with those examples. And you can use the phrase to blow your mind. I will blow your mind. Or it blew my mind. And that means it was so fantastic. It was so astonishing. I was shocked. It's like someone exploded my brain. It blew my mind. But we don't use the phrasal verb. We just say blew or blow. Okay? Hope that makes sense. All right. I just want to remind all of you that there are sometimes younger viewers here, so please keep your comments family friendly. If I don't think they are family friendly, I will remove your comments. So please keep them suitable for children to read as well, because we do have some younger people here. Okay, I blew up at my partner because he said something I didn't like, but it seems everything is starting to blow over now. Perfect, Horatio. Really nice, using both phrasal verbs blew up and blew over. Fantastic, really, really well done. All right, let's have a look at my patron Julia's entrance here. Hello, Julia. So, and Yuldis as well. I'm so sorry. So Yuldis first, let's go with you. You said, the storm will blow over soon. Perfect. That's a really nice use of it, actually. And we do use that often. We talk about blowing over when we talk about weather sometimes. It will blow over soon. Usually when we're talking about storms, actually. The storm will blow over soon. Very nice. I'm going to give you a thumb up. And Julia says, every time my students don't follow my instructions, I should blow up at them. Yes, good. Or you could just take away the should and say, I blow up at them, if it is the case. And I would use whenever rather than every time. Whenever feels more natural. Whenever my students don't follow my instructions, I blow up at them. And then that would be perfection. Okay, my darling. So let me jump back over to my face. Hello. Okay, I blew up when my love hurt me, says Amina. Very good. Make sure when you say I, use a capital. When you're talking about yourself, I, use a capital. Okay. All right. After she glow up his words. I think you mean blow up instead of glow up. After you look, she blow up his words. I'm not quite sure what you mean with that, so I'm so sorry. I can't correct that one. I have time to meet you again. I am very funny for you. You are strong and young. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next phrasal verb now. So we've had blow over and blow up with 3 uses for blow up. But the next one is a really nice, quirky little phrasal verb. It's actually one of my favourites. I'm just going to show it to you now. We have blurt out. I love this phrase. I don't know why. If you blurt something out, it means you say something quickly without thinking. So it just comes out like you hadn't even considered you were going to say it. It just comes out of your mouth. So imagine you're keeping a secret, but you really, really want to tell someone because you're very excited or because the news is so big. It's so important to you that you can't stop thinking about it. And as soon as you see someone, you just tell them, even though you're not supposed to. And that's blurting it out. You just blurted it out to a stranger or to the first person you saw. And the example sentence I've given is, in the heat of the moment, he blurted out something that sounded like, I love you. In the heat of the moment, this is a phrase we use often actually. The heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment means when you are, when you're in a situation and you suddenly feel passionate. It might be you're angry, or maybe Maybe you're excited. Maybe you're overwhelmed. In those situations, we might do something that we wouldn't normally do if we were calm and thinking. So you would act in the heat of the moment, the heat being the emotion. In the emotion of the moment, I did something. So you could say, in the heat of the moment, I smacked him. I would never do that, but in the heat of the moment, because we were arguing, I smacked him. Or I could say, in the heat of the moment, I kissed him, because it was such a passionate environment. It was romantic. He was saying all the right things, and I didn't think. I just kissed him in the heat of the moment. And a lot of times we say things in the heat of the moment. We blurt things out, don't we? We say things that we didn't intend to. We just go blah and say it. So, have you ever blurted anything out? Has it resulted in something embarrassing? Like, has it resulted in someone getting upset even? So, in the heat of the moment, he blurted out something that sounded like, I love you. Ooh. Okay, so I'd like you to try and use blurted out in a sentence now, and I'll have a look. So, we've got, sorry, let me have a look. If someone cuts me off when I'm driving, I blurt out. Okay, so normally, Eduardo, when we say blurt out, we normally will include what it is we blurted out. You don't have to be specific about the wording that was used, but you might say he blurted out his secret, or she blurted out all the information that she was supposed to keep to herself. Or she blurted it out, if we're referring to something and we know what's being talked about. She just blurted it out. But you wouldn't use blurt out just as a general phrase to say that you spoke without thinking. We wouldn't do it like that. We'd always be specific about what it was we were saying without thinking. Okay? What else do we have? We must be careful when we blurt out in order to avoid hurt someone. Is it all right? Again, so you've used it in a general way. We need to be specific. So you might say we must be careful when blurting out what we really think. We must be careful when blurting out what we really think in order to avoid hurting someone. So you need to put them in the continuous, blurting and hurting, because it's something that we should always be mindful of. It's an ongoing thing. So I hope that's good for you. I hope you understand that. Don't take my words seriously. I had just blurted out. So come on, you are being specific. You're saying my words that have just been said. Don't take my words seriously. Then you'd have to follow with, I just blurted them out. I just blurted them out. Okay? When she came, she blurt out him. So again, it's too general. What did she blurt out? Okay, so yeah, I hope that makes sense. Why did you blurted it out? No, that doesn't work either. Why did you... If someone's just said something to you, you might, or you've heard someone say something, and you know they've said it without thinking, to say, why did you just blurt that out? Why did you just blurt that out? Mia Ray says he blurted out the truth when being questioned repeatedly by police. Very good. Well done. You told us what came out. All right. In the heat of the moment, my exam's final minute, I blurted out a scream. It's good, but I think with blurted out, I think it has to be words. And obviously a scream is a sound, not a word. So I like what you've done there, but I don't think it quite works with scream. Okay? All right, I'm going to move on because I do want to try and keep this down to 30 minutes. So after blurt out, we've only got 2 more to go. And we've got board up. To board something up, this is very easy. A very easy one. Well, let me show you on the notes. We have we have board up, to cover up windows or doors with wood or metal, etc. So usually when a building is no longer occupied, so if you no longer live in a building or the people who worked in that building are no longer there and the company has closed, then in order to keep the building secure, to stop people from breaking in, they might board up the windows and doors. Also, if something bad happens, you might end up with a broken window or a broken door. Maybe someone has done it on purpose. Maybe someone throws something at your window and the window breaks. Or maybe there's a storm and before the storm blows over, something hits your window, maybe a branch from a tree, and the window breaks. And therefore, you will need to board up the window with some wood, perhaps, to keep the building secure until you can get a new window fitted, but also to keep it warm and to keep it dry. So you board up the windows, or you board up the door, or you could say the building was completely boarded up. Okay? So let's have a look at your examples. I've got Nilam says, I board up my new car. You have a new car and you needed to board up the windows? Did someone break the windows of a new car? Anyway, you would have to say I boarded, because you did it in the past. I boarded up my new car. Okay? In our main street, there is a lot of houses that they are boarded up windows. Yulina, good attempt, really good attempt, but let's just make a few adjustments. In our main street, there are, because you say there's more than one, there are a lot of, so you don't need S on the end of lot, there are a lot of houses that are, you don't need that they, that are boarded up. Or if you want to be specific about just the windows, not the windows and doors, you could say, in our main street there are a lot of houses, with the windows boarded up. Or there are a lot of houses that have their windows boarded up. Okay? Hope that helps. My local pub closed and boarded up. Fitland, close. My local pub closed and is now boarded up. My local pub closed. And you could just actually put, my local pub is closed, or my local pub closed and was boarded up. You'd have to put, and was boarded up. My local pub closed and was boarded up. Full stop. Always put a full stop at the ends of your sentences. Okay, so one more and then I'll move on. Ray says, I'm bored with boarding up windows. I'm bored with boarding up windows. At the boring boardroom meeting, we discussed boarding up derelict properties. Wow, that's a tongue twister. At the boring boardroom meeting, we discussed boarding up derelict properties. And a derelict property is a property that's standing empty. It's probably in need of some repair as well. It's derelict. Okay. All right, fantastic. I'm going to move on to the very last phrasal verb. And before I do tell you what this one is, can I please ask that you just give this video a thumb up, show YouTube that you're finding this stuff interesting and it's helpful, and that helps me out. That would be fantastic. And if you're not subscribed, then you know what to do. Hit subscribe and the bell notification button. All right, so the last phrasal verb is bog down. Now, I use this phrasal verb all the time, but there are two meanings. One of them is more often used than the other. Now, I use this first one more often. I use this all the time because I always feel bogged down. It's how I regularly feel. I'm regularly bogged down. So, to be bogged down is to bog someone down is to prevent them from making progress in a task or activity. But normally we get bogged down with work or with things that we prioritize in our life, too many things to do will bog us down. It will stop us from moving forward because we have too much to do. So it's very difficult to make progress. And that's how I feel on a regular basis, because I have so much to do all the time that some days I don't know where to start. And sometimes it feels like I'm trying to climb a mountain in flip-flops and that I'm not getting anywhere. And sometimes it can be very frustrating and it can make you feel quite negative. So have you ever felt bogged down by anything? The example sentence I've given is, if I wasn't so bogged down with work, then I would gladly take you to the park. But I am afraid I have too much to do. Now, do you remember I am afraid? Do you remember the lesson we taught on this? That doesn't mean I'm scared. It means I'm sorry. I am afraid. I'm saying I'm afraid I can't do what you've asked me to do, which is to take you to the park. If I wasn't so bogged down with work, then I would gladly take you to the park. But I am afraid, I'm sorry, I have too much to do. Okay? Do I use these phrasal verbs in casual speech? Yes, I do all the time. All the time. And phrasal verbs are vital because you use them in formal and informal speech. They're very much an integral part of our language and how we communicate in all respects. So that's why they're important to know. So the other use of bogged down can literally mean to get stuck in mud or in wet ground. I haven't ever used it like this, but a bog is a place where it's very, very muddy and very wet. You can't really walk over a bog. It's a patch of land that's very, very wet and muddy. And you could say it's boggy. It's boggy. There's lots and lots of water in the ground. And so if you get bogged down in boggy ground, then you're going to get stuck. It means you're stuck and you need help to get out. And the example sentence I've given is, we drove in via the back route, but got bogged down on the old farm road and had to call for help. We drove in via the back route, but got bogged down on the old farm road and had to call for help. Now, notice here that the word via and route are pronounced very differently in British English to American English. A lot of Americans will say via with an E sound, via. We say via. And a lot of Americans will say route, like ow, route. But we say route. Exactly the same as the other spelling, which is root, like that. The root of a tree, for example. Root. So via, root are British English pronunciations. All right, my darlings. So let's do a little let's do some corrections on your sentences. I didn't come to your birthday because I got bogged down. Very good. Really nice. Make sure I is always capitalized. You are important. Capitalize your letter. I. I'm afraid. I didn't come to your birthday because I got bogged down. Fine. We bogged down in the football ground. I'd say we got bogged down in the football ground. Okay? He blew up at me because he was bogged down with his boss. I would say bogged down with work his boss had given him rather than his boss. I don't think a boss can bog you down. I know what you're trying to say, that someone is preventing you from making progress, but perhaps it's actually work that your boss is giving you that's bogging you down. That feels more natural. So he blew up at me. He blew up at me. So he got angry with you because he was bogged down with his work that his boss had given to him. Okay? Great. I've got one here from Aldis. My patron says, we should board up broken window. He blurted out after another pause. Very good. Really nice. I love when you try and use more than one phrasal verb in a sentence. That's really, really great. He should board up. I would use an article here. He should board up the broken window, or my broken window, or his broken window. We need something. You can't just have board up unless you're making it plural. We should board up broken windows, and that's talking in general. It's something you should always do. He blurted out after another pause. Very nice. I'm going to give that a thumb up because I think that's a really great attempt. Very, very nice indeed. And a few more corrections in the in the YouTube room. I'm not bogged down with my learning English since I follow your lessons. I'm not bogged down with my... I'm not quite sure it works. I'm not bogged down with my English work rather than... Or English learning. So turn it around. I'm not bogged down with my English learning since I follow your... I'm no longer... If we're talking about time, like you were bogged down before, but you're not anymore, then you say, I am no longer bogged down with my English learning since I started following your video lessons. That would work. Can I say I feel bogged down in my English? I'd say with. I feel bogged down with my English learning. Like you've got too much to do. You're just losing track. You've got too much learning to do. Okay. All right, guys, it's just past the half-hour point. I'm trying to keep these down to half-hour sessions. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found that useful. If you did, then you might consider sharing it. There have been a number of lessons out recently which not many people have watched. So if you've not been here for a while and you've got some time, then go and check out the video tab on my channel and catch up on any lessons that you haven't previously seen. I hope you have a wonderful day. There will be another live lesson on Friday around noontime, but I will announce on Facebook exactly what time you can catch me on Friday. I hopefully will also release another video midweek and maybe one at the weekend as well. It all depends on whether I can get through all this work that I'm trying to do. It's been lovely to have you here. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Until next time, take care. Mwah. Lots of love from London.